Welcome to another episode of the Terry and Frank Show. This week, we're going to be discussing the fearful leader. I don't know if you've ever worked for one, but it's a trip. Right, Ter? We're going to
Yes, it
start
is.
with what image comes to mind when we think about the fearful leader. So, Ter, why don't you kick it off?
So this is kind of what I think of initially right away. It's that fraidy cat. Like he will not make a decision to save his life. He's got to analyze it 15 times or she's got to go over it and have 17 meetings. Like they just will not make a decision on their own. It's like I'm the leader, but I'm waiting for someone else to make all the decisions for me and just tell me what to do. So
I
I'm just
love it.
gonna hide over here in the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Hiding most of themselves so they can't be hurt. No question.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's great.
So what do you think of? What image comes to mind?
Uh, I this is what comes to mind for me. Somebody just terrified of everything.
Yeah.
Can't handle any pressure, has to make a big decision. It's like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna do?"
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
just, you know,
Yeah.
stuck.
That procrastination, that's
Mhm.
really what comes to mind. Really, I think is what's behind that fearfulness. I don't want to make a decision or I don't want to make a mistake. So I'll procrastinate and analyze and overanalyze and overanalyze every single situation, trying to look at things from every angle. And sometimes you just have to just jump in and make a decision. It's not so much that you're going to be right all the time. Part of being a leader is learning how to fail and fail fast,
Yeah.
make a decision, you make the wrong one, learn how to pick yourself up, be resilient and bounce back from that bad choice and make another choice. All your choices are not going to be right. You want to make the best possible choice, but they're not always going to be right. And so just holding out and not making a choice really damages the team, really damages the morale on the team when they know that you are just afraid to make a step without having all of this analysis done beforehand.
Yeah, and, if you're in a bigger company and you work for a fearful leader, you'll look around and see other areas getting all the good work because you're working for the scaredy cat who doesn't
Yeah,
wanna step forward and take on something new and innovative because, "Oh my god, might go wrong."
right,
Right? They're
right.
the worst people to get stuck under,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
you won't have all the details beforehand. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. You
Yeah.
won't have all of the details. You won't ever know everything. That's not to say that you wouldn't go and do your research and try to make the best possible choice, but there are always going to be unknowns. That's one thing that is a
Yeah.
certainty. There will be unknowns. So make sure that you are not spending a whole lot of time trying to research every angle because there's going to be something that you didn't think of, something that nobody thought of. So just give yourself a break and relax. Stop being so afraid and just take a step. And you'll find that as you take one step, it'll be a little bit easier to take another one and build that confidence. That's another thing that I think the fearful leader just really lacks confidence. They are
Totally.
just
Yeah.
terrified to be the lead.
Analysis paralysis.
Right, right.
Studying something, right? Because we could dig deeper into this whole thing and understand it better. So they never get going. Their areas just wilt away.
Yeah,
They're the worst people to work.
right.
They won't go support you when the time comes if they've got to stand up for something. Some big opportunity comes along or there was a misunderstanding, they're not there to stand up for you. They don't want to take the personal risk.
Yeah. No confrontation for this leader.
Nope.
They will not confront anyone because they are so afraid of what everybody thinks. They're
Uh,
afraid of, what people are going to think of them if they take a stand for anything. So they
they'll
just sit
never
back
speak
and do
truth to
nothing.
power. They won't speak truth to power. They won't. It's not in
Right.
them. They can't do it. They're really just,
Yeah.
yeah, they're the, flight, fright, and freeze. They suffer from all of them. They'll freeze. They'll do analysis paralysis. They'll go nowhere. you know? I've seen them in action in big companies, and, I
Yeah.
was always one of these gung ho, let's get on the new stuff, proposing projects and things to do, and, when you run an area where you're working on new and innovative stuff, everybody wants to work for you. They wanna flee these people. They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Everybody wants to do something that's fun and exciting and meaningful. You
Yeah,
want to know that what you're doing matters, it makes a difference. And so when you're working under a fearful leader, you end up working on things that are just not really exciting. They're kind of boring, routine, just run of the mill, keep the lights on kind of activities,
yeah,
because that leader won't make decisions. They won't be innovative because they're afraid.
yeah.
So you end up really working on things that don't really have a whole lot of excitement about them.
Well, these people focus on trivia. There was a guy years ago, his nickname became Dollar Bill, managed a department, won't even mention the company, so no one will trace it back. But, everybody was, working on big projects. This guy couldn't get anything started, couldn't get anything done. I remember he had a department meeting one time. One of the people who worked there came over and told me that he stood up and he said, one of the things I'm concerned about is the amount of supplies we're going through. And, he held up a pencil. He did, literally held up a pencil. He said, "I can't believe how many
Wow.
pencils we're ordering." Meanwhile, you got multi-million dollar projects that have to get done. This guy's doing nothing to lead them, focusing on trivia because he didn't want to stick his neck out doing any real stuff. He's just incapable
Yeah.
of doing it. Dollar Bill was his
Yeah.
nickname.
He probably asked for an itemized report of how many people are going into the cabinet. How many times a day are they going in to get a pen? Like, just the most details about
Yeah,
things that have absolutely no meaning, nothing to do with real work. They get
nothing
caught up in that cycle of
to do
just
with real
over analyzing the simplest things because they're afraid. They just really don't want to
yeah,
make a decision and move forward.
focusing on safe stuff. What could go wrong? Hey,
Right.
I can really go manage the expense on this instead of, looking at, the $20 million of other expenses where the real money's going, right? Look about,
Right.
re-engineering what they're
Right.
doing, creating real efficiency,
Yeah.
maybe, looking at the way they're using the staff and how productive the people are. Nothing. He didn't,
Right.
he eventually got fired.
So
Yeah.
how do you deal with these kind of leaders? How do you work under a leader like this?
Oh, wow. Super difficult if you're stuck under one of them. Your only hope is that they're going to get fired because they're so inept and incompetent. Right, because ultimately, you've gotta
Yeah.
work in an area that's progressive. You just have to. I think it's much harder these days with, agile and the need to really produce and go fast for these people to survive. It's getting harder, but they're out there.
Yeah.
And, you
Yeah.
gotta go work under
Yeah.
somebody
I think so
progressive
too.
who will stick up for the people, fight for the good work. If something went wrong and it was an external factor, just to stand up and be willing to say, "Hey, this is not my folks didn't do this," right? Take the political risk of, telling
Yeah.
the truth sometime, instead of throwing people under the bus, which these fearful leaders are happy to do. "I'll make sure it doesn't happen
Right.
again."
Right. They're the yes person to everything that people are asking them to do. They just want to please everybody. So they're constantly saying yes and overcommitting the team. And so you really have to look at that and say, this is not an area where I want to be. I don't want to be on a team where I have a leader that will not stand up for me,
Mhm.
or a leader that will not, go to bat for me. Someone that'll stick his neck out or her neck out to say, I'm going to fight for Terry. I'm going to make sure that she gets what she deserves. A lot of times, you've got these leaders that are so afraid that they're just saying and going along to get along. They're really,
Don't wanna
they
make any
don't want to make
waves.
any waves. Yeah, they
That's
don't want to
right.
make any
So
waves.
other people are fighting for their organizations, talking about how much they did. Look at what we took on. We took on these big things. They're getting more of the money at the end of the day, right? When
Right.
it comes time to pay for performance, then these people, they're an area when, nothing is happening because they're not really
Yeah.
taking the risk to get the good work, get the innovative new stuff. Too risky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
if you are that fearful leader, you really do need to start to get to the bottom of where the fear is originating. So
got
if you are afraid to make a decision, then put people around you that can help you. People that are trusted advisors, people that you know have your best interest at heart. Find some people that you can confide in and say, "Hey, I am really struggling with whatever it is." And that group of people can help you make decisions when you need to make one so that you can become a more effective leader. You
yeah,
don't have to just stay in that space of being just the fraidy cat.
yeah, definitely. Look, if you're a young leader, then you've got to take some risk and eventually come to the realization that you can do it, right? You can do what other people are doing. You're probably just as good. Well, hopefully you are anyway. And
Right.
if you're an older leader, I don't know, can't teach these old dogs new tricks. I think they're done.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's tough. It's really tough. You want to do a good job and make a good impression. You want to leave behind a good legacy of leadership. And I
Mhm.
think one of the other problems with this Frady cat leader is they feel like they have to make all the decisions on their own, that they are leading by themselves. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions. The leader is really just the one that's bringing everybody together so that the team as a collective whole can make good choices and provide some good direction. So you don't have to do it all by yourself. It's
Yeah,
not just sitting on your shoulders. You really can involve the team in that decision making process, and you can involve the team in the growth of what needs to happen next. So you don't have to put all that weight on yourself to be the only one that's making decisions, the only one that has to have every answer. That's part of the beauty of being on a team
yeah.
is the team can everybody on the team has something to bring to the table. So use that to your advantage. Don't just continue to
Mhm.
spin and spiral over the smallest little details. Get the team involved if you feel like you really just are so afraid that you can't move forward.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's good advice. There is a lot of capability under these leaders. They just don't know how to use it. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
But I'm less hopeful most of these people will change, honestly. I didn't really see any of them transform right from the frog to the prince. Just didn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, right? It's really tough, especially if you've been a leader and you've been a fraidy cat leader for a long time.
Yeah.
It's really tough to teach an old dog new tricks. That is for sure.
They're hanging
That,
on to what they have, right? That's really what it
yeah,
comes down to. They're hanging on. They want to keep that job and that paycheck, and they don't want to really rock the boat.
yeah.
So,
And it may be, like you said earlier, it may be that you just need to move out of that area of the organization or even out of that
yeah.
company if it's, damaging that
Mhm.
much. If it's so much
Yeah.
that your leader just will not stand up, then you really do have to evaluate, is this the place for me?
Yep. Absolutely, Tara, without a doubt. So, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we're going to be talking about Mr. Right,
Well, Mr.
the
Right.
one that knows everything, the one that he has an answer for it all. She knows everything. She's been there, done that. She's experienced it all.
Yeah.
That kind of leader that is just always in the right.
Yep. Always has all the answers.
Yes. They're not really listening to you when you're talking because they're formulating their answer.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. They're thinking ahead, right?
Yeah.
They're the worst
Yeah.
listeners in
Thinking
the
about
world.
something else.
They're the worst listeners in the world because they're back trying to prove that they're right all the time. Always
Right.
thinking about how to counter what you're saying. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one. There's too many of them around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I think
listen,
we got this one
I think we
again.
nailed it. Another good episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another good
So many
episode.
unproductive personality types, right? There's so many of them
Yeah.
out there. It's interesting.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We
Yeah,
love
thanks
your
for tuning
comments
in.
and feedback. We
We
really
love the
appreciate
audience.
it.
You folks are great.
Yes.
Yep. Any feedback?
All
Good.
right.
Yeah, we love it. Take care.